Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, this is kind of an impromptu video. I literally just walked in the door. I'm still soaking wet. It's raining here. And I want to do this video while it's still fresh in my mind, while the adrenaline is still seriously pumping, and my hands are almost still shaking. I had what you would call a confrontation, and it was just a weird. I'll explain it to you. It's just sometimes I don't know if it's a full moon, but sometimes it seems like everybody's on edge. Well, that's how it was this morning. The city I live in, it's Bristol, Connecticut, home of Otis Elevator, home of the longest running amusement park in the country, Lake Compounce. You've probably seen it in the news. Aaron Hernandez, the football player who was in jail, took his own life from Bristol, Connecticut, played football here. Just about a year or two ago, there was the ambush of two police officers here in Connecticut. I'm sure you've seen that on the news. So it's a small city, but it's had its share of incidents. I've been here for 3 years. So I take a walk around town every morning. It's just part of I do the video for you guys. I get up at 2. I do the video about 3. I work out with weights from 4 till 5. Then I go on a 1-hour walk around town from 5 to 6. And then I go on the treadmill from 7 to 8. Then I go on a bike ride from 9 to 10. And then I start my day painting. Anyway, let me start with this. This is interesting. I think this played a big part in me avoiding a possible physical situation this morning. I was watching the show Lockdown, I believe it's called. I just started watching it. It's in prison. They interview people in jail. And I've told you guys this before. If you watch my channel, I don't like watching the UFC. Because I told you I used to lead another life, but 2.5 decades of addiction, and I used to go to after-hour biker clubs and stuff like that, and I got in a lot of altercations. And watching this stuff gets me it's like a trigger for me. It gets my adrenaline flowing, and that's what happened this morning. But I think it kind of worked in my favor this morning. So I'm watching that, and I'm paying attention to the mentality of respect in prison, and the way these prisoners convey authority and stuff like that, and it reminds me of situations I've been in. So I was watching that before I took this walk this morning. Another thing, it's raining here. It's a cold, rainy morning. It's the first morning in like a month that it's even gone below under 75, even at night. It's been extremely warm and humid here in Connecticut. And it's like 61 degrees and raining this morning, and that plays into this, right? I decided to carry an umbrella, right? And part of me is like, you're gonna kind of look like a wuss carrying an umbrella out there. But then, I told myself, I was like, I don't care I am who I am. I'm confident in who I am, and screw anybody else. I'm not gonna go out there and get soaked and wet and cold just to, look cool or not look. I am who I am, and other people should deal with it. So that's how I walked out of here this morning. Here, let me show you what I look like. I'm about 6'3". I've actually lost 25 pounds. I went up to 215 around Christmas time and New Year's, and I've lost, from eating good, I've lost 25 pounds. I'm down to 190 now. Anyway, so I'm carrying the umbrella, and I go out. It's about 5:30 now. This was actually about 4:30 this morning. It's raining, it's cold, so I start walking out, and I'm headed there's nobody really on the streets. There's a bus stop down. It's the center of the city right here. It's a rough neighborhood. The police station's right up the street, the town hall, the city hall. I live in a 50 and over community, and it's gated, it's all fenced in, it's all landscaped. It's like an oasis kind of in the middle of the downtown city. It's kind of closed off from everything else, and it's all nice in here, but it's closed in. So I walked out of my safety zone, and I started walking around town with my umbrella. And as soon as I got to the area, the main road, Main Street, right where the bus stop is, I see a guy walking. It's a black guy. And the thing that struck me is it's cold and rainy. It's 61 degrees, and he's wearing a tank top. And he's just, you can tell right off the bat, he's just kind of wandering around like homeless. No particular place to go, kind of shuffling his feet, just a white tank top. And like I said, it's raining, it's 61 degrees. So, right off the bat, I'm like, this could be trouble. So I walked to, I've always told myself this too, like this stuff, a lot of this stuff I picked up on the 2.5 decades that I use come in handy, like how to read people, but more than that, how to have people read me, to look me in the face and know that I'm not to be screwed with. And another thing that I learned, don't change your path. The path, I'm walking down towards this road. Don't alter my course, because that's subservient. That's avoiding the situation, and people read that, and then they'll come and confront you. You're looking like a target. So I just keep walking, and I end up walking right up to the back of this guy. And it's hard to do, you got a little part of your brain, screaming, just walk another way, but I'm not gonna. And so I cross the street and I start walking up towards other bus stops. Nobody around, nobody out. It's a desolated road. And I hear this guy in a parking lot, and I hear him kicking dumpsters and knocking over stuff. And right in my mind, I don't know what that says to you guys, but right to me, that was meant for me. That was him saying, like, he waited till after I was out of his area. And then it was just saying, he's aggressive, that this is his area. He was claiming his territory. He did that for me to hear it. He's angry, don't screw with him. That's what I believe. It sounded like he was kicking and pounding on random things. Now this is just the beginning, right? So I'm walking away from him. Nothing happened. And I'm I'll tell you guys, this is the truth. I'm singing to myself now. I'm kind of relaxed. I relax now. And I'm singing zippity-doo-dah, zippity-ay. Seriously. And I don't realize there's another guy standing up in the dark right up in front of me. All right. And I don't know what he's doing. There's a construction area and there's a fence. I'm walking along the fence and he's up about 50 feet along the fence. So I cross the road here anyway. So I start walking across the street and I'm quiet. And he starts walking towards me and he says something. And it's a tall black guy, probably about in his 20s or early 30s. Both these guys, the guy in the white tank top was probably in his early 20s, built like a boxer. This guy was just as tall as me, a good 6'2", 6'3". And he starts walking towards me and he starts talking. I could hear by his tone. He's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like aggressive tone, but I can't hear what he's saying. Okay, so I know right off the bat, this person's screwing with me. This person is coming to confront me. It's another person. I'm trying, why, what's going on tonight? Why is this morning? Why is this happening? But it's hard not to say anything. But right at this point, I'm like, just walk straight towards the dude. Don't take any shit, man. So I walk towards him and he goes, and he says like, F you, MFer, something along those lines. And right at this point, I take my umbrella down and I put my umbrella down and I lean forward and I was like, what'd you say? And because I took my umbrella down because I wanted him to see my face. I wanted him to look at my face. I've had people tell me in the past when I get in this before altercations, that people can't even recognize me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I look like. But I wanted him to see my face. And I swear this is the moment that I could see him change his attitude. Now we're about 10 feet apart. And he was coming towards me talking smack. And I could start to hear, he's like, F you, and just swearing. And I was like, what'd you say? And I put the umbrella down, and right that moment, he stops and he starts walking sideways. And then he starts walking backwards, backpedaling away from me. And he's holding on to like a backpack or some kind of bag or something. And he goes like this. He goes, you heard what I said. F you. And when he says, you heard what I said, that makes me think he doesn't want to repeat it. Right at that point, he changed his mind. When I brought the umbrella down and he looked at me and I was walking towards him and I wasn't saying nothing, it made him uncomfortable. And then once I put the umbrella down, I could see the change in his attitude. He starts backpedaling away from me and he's not repeating himself. He's like, you heard what I said. And he says a few more, he's backpedaling, trying to watch me, but he's walking, now he's trying to skedaddle. He's walking away from me, and I don't know what I look like, but it's hard not to say anything. It's hard not to try to avoid this to try to avoid the situation, to just be quiet, or to talk it out, to say, well, look, you must have somebody else. I don't know you. What are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? No. At this moment, this guy is targeting me. And at that moment, you have to be aggressive. You have to enter, and it's hard to do. It is, because there's little voices there, there's a little part of me saying, just avoid this, walk away or run, or just get out of here. You could still avoid this, but you can't do that. Like I said, in the moment, I was just like, and okay. So I'm walking around the block now, and he's cutting through a parking lot, and I know in the back of my head, I'm like, with me walking around the block and him cutting through, we're going to end up at the same place. So I'm like, oh man. And part of me saying, well, Daryl, just go another way, walk another way this morning. And I can't do that. I'm not going to change my path out of fear. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to walk the way I'm going to walk. And if whatever happens, happens. And I'm thinking of the lockdown, the movie I watched. And I start thinking, if this guy sees me again on the other side of this parking lot, he's going to think I'm following him. And more than likely, it is going to turn into something. So at this time, I'm starting to picture in my head, all right, so, just go for it. Make a left, right cross, and then just keep punching. I start picturing where I'm going to, wide stance, and I'm picturing everything. Just go for it. And I'm kind of glad this didn't happen, because, the next thing that would have happened is the police would have been called, and then it would have been me and him fighting in the middle of the street. And more than likely, he would have taken the beating out of this. And I don't know if this guy was carrying something. More than likely, he might have had something on him. That's another part of this equation that I have no control over. But I just don't believe in avoiding this situation. Once it comes up on you, you have to assert yourself, and sometimes you have to throw down and go for it. And once you start going for it, you don't stop. This is what I thought too. I got $5,000 worth of dental work in my mouth, and I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to let this guy get a sucker shot in on me. I'm like, screw that. If I have to, I'm swinging first. If he gets in my area, my personal space, if he comes towards me, man, I'm swinging first. There's no way I'm taking a loss of five grand on a sucker shot from this crazy guy. I see him on the other side of the parking lot, but I don't think he saw me. And I started actually following him up the street. He turned up a side street, and he disappeared, and that was the end of it. But here's the weird thing too. I saw right after this, there was 2 police cars parked on the other side of the street. There was another I saw about 4 or 5 police cars out there this morning, all over the place, parked with their lights on, their cars running, talking to each other. I don't know what went on. I don't know why these 2 gentlemen, 2 different places, 2 different gentlemen were on edge, let's say. I don't know if it's a full moon. The police often say there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on at full moon. But honestly, I think, having the background that I have, and, like I said, the moment I brought that, I wanted him to see my face, so I lowered the umbrella, and I was quiet. He was saying stuff to me, and I was just walking straight towards him, and that makes him feel uncomfortable. It makes him feel unsure, because I'm not responding to him. I'm just walking straight at him. Then I bring the umbrella down, and right at that moment, he saw my face, and right at that moment, things changed. He started backpedaling. He wouldn't repeat what he said, and he started walking the other direction from me, backing up from me, and so I did something right, but here's the thing that scares me. Where I am and the way that I go about this, I refuse to change what I do. I'm not going to live my life in fear. I'm not going to live my life avoiding things. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do them, and I'm not going to live my life in fear. Sooner or later, I'm going to throw the dice, and the dice are going to come up against me. The situation would always work out in my favor, be it numbers, or be it, numbers of people against, more than one-on-one, or them carrying things, what have you. And that's the part that kind of worries me, because when you keep throwing the dice, sooner or later, they're not going to come up in your favor. You're going to crap out. It is what it is, but I'm not going to live my life avoiding I'm not going to live my life in fear. I'm going to live my life the way I want to live my life. Have a good Wednesday.